Hello everyone, how are you? Welcome to That Geek Show, the only show that puts you face to face with the experts, where you can pick their brain in real time and ask them any questions you want. Today we are talking about how you can build your business with games, playing games. No funnels, no websites, no webinars, nothing like that. You can build your business just by having fun. And you can do that in less than 3 hours. You can build trust, affinity, and confidence in your potential clients so they can join you. So if you want to join us right now live, go to thatgeek.com/live and you'll be able to hop in, be part of the conversation, and just have fun with us. So first I want to say hi to the people who are joining us already. So hi King, Ronnie, Shane, Jay, all of you here. Fantastic to see you. We already have a few comments on the website as well. Neville is here. Stuart was asking a question. Really excited to dive into all of that with you because this is such an important topic. I posted at the beginning of the week a few questions in different groups and asking, do you think that the coaching niche is oversaturated? There are too many coaches. We got so many different views. Some people were saying, yes, the charlatans are out there. It's so hard for potential clients to know who to choose, who to work with, what to do. Others were saying, not at all. If you're a great coach, then you're good to go. So we're going to test all that stuff with our guest today, Mr. Adam Gilad. Hey, Adam.
Hey, fun.
How are you?
Good to see you, as always.
So let me tell you a little bit about Adam that I did not know. What I didn't know about Adam is that he is an Emmy-nominated executive producer. He's Stanford Humanities Center graduate, research fellow, and an executive coach for men and women for over 14 years in the areas of relationship and bold living. Adam created something that's called the Higher Game curriculum, and we're going to dive into that today. What the Higher Game does is help people align their powers and choices to their higher vision of life and to help coaches, trainers, teachers, and other leaders build growing, expanding businesses that drive steady stream of warm leads. So why do we need all that jazz, Adam? Before we get into all that stuff, right? Like before we get into the details of how do you build a business just by playing game? Let's go a little bit to the beginning. You started with dating, right? You were like the top guy for dating and relationships. Let's go a little before that. What brought you there? What was it like at the start of all your internet marketing career, all your dating career? You were an author, executive producer. How was it at the beginning?
Okay. I don't know if I was the number one dating person in the world. There's a lot of good people. But basically, I've always been sort of a scholar and a writer and a researcher, and came down to Hollywood after my graduate work and worked as a film writer and producer. And I somehow fell into a niche of kind of social issue movies on television and cable, which ended with the Kardashians, basically. When reality TV came in, they just stopped making movies at ABC, CBS, NBC.
Interesting.
Just the whole business, my area of the business collapsed. And at the same time, my marriage did. What a coincidence. Oh. And it happens. And so my skill has always been writing. I taught writing, obviously, at Stanford and stuff like that. And I found myself single. I had no idea how to date. I hadn't dated ever, really. I got married at 23, 24. And when I discovered online dating, I discovered people had no idea how to communicate with each other, wow. Which worked really well for me as a newly single guy. So I did a lot of research and was just loving that. And at the same time, I was teaching a writing class called Spiritual Autobiography. It's always been my interest to see how people can consciously take their past and consciously look at their future and craft the life they want. So it's always been my personal interest, right, for myself. I've always seen life as something that you craft continuously. I never bought into the get a job for life sort of thing. And I went to my first internet marketing seminar in October 2004 in order to teach my writing class online, because it was growing a lot here in Los Angeles, and I figured, well, I could teach it online and reach thousands of people. There I learned about a guy who was called David D'Angelo, and that there was this huge market for dating advice, which I knew nothing about. And so I quickly wrote a book on how to communicate online in a way that men could communicate both spine and heart, and I ended up writing one for women as well. and really went into the psychology of language, how we process language, how men do, how women do. And there's a lot of interesting research on that. And they just kind of took off. And suddenly I was a dating expert on communication. And so had to really race in my own research, which you can see I like doing, to really get deep into what makes people attracted to each other, what makes them really connect with each other, and ultimately what makes them really be able to be in a relationship, right? Yeah. Because it takes a lot of skills and a lot of humility, I've learned over time. But it really does take skills, how to navigate all those inevitable triggers. And especially today when life changes so fast, you have to be kind of nifty in your ability to, nimble in your ability to navigate your own inner world and the inner world of a whole other person and how they overlap. Especially if you're a sort of interesting, complex person, which most people listening, I'm sure, are. So I ended up in that sort of dating relationship area. For years did workshops with men and women together called Attract, Connect, Inspire, which I think are really the 3 different skills that people need to stay together. You have to know how to attract each other. You have to know how to connect continually. And ultimately, I think you have to live an inspired life, and you have to inspire your partner, because there's so much choice out there today, right?
Right.
And it's, we get bored of Game of Thrones. So, and that's exciting. It has dragons. We're going to get bored of each other. So we must not bore ourselves. Through all that work, I ended up working with David Data for a couple of years. He's got his book just right next to me. I read it often. I was reading it this morning. And got deep into men's work, something called the Bold Life. Brotherhood, the Bold Life became kind of the metaphor I use for really looking at your personal life, your outer life, and your inner life with rigorous honesty. Because without doing that, we just kind of drift on in life. And then we held this large event last year called I think it was The Way of the Inspired Man, about what does it mean to live an inspired life. This was for men. And out of that grew this realization that so many of the people in my community, and I see some of them here on the screen, have done a lot of inner work themselves, and were actually ready to step up and take a leadership role. And that led to the Higher Game. So the Higher Game came out of all this because of my interest in gamification, and my partner Mariella, her interest in gamification. She brings sort of a huge background in yoga and meditation and all kinds of inner work. And we're high creatives. I've been a writer all my life. She's also a visual artist. And we realized that for people to really become alive, right, to really be great in relationship, and also just be great in life, we need to tap into what really inspires us. So we offered kind of off the cuff in the beginning, hey, is anyone interested in personal development through transformational games, through interactive games? And we can get into what gamification is in a second, why games work so well. And there was a lot of response. And so we launched something called the Higher Game, which is a curriculum of interactive games, nights or weekends. You can teach it either way. If you're a coach, if you're a trainer, if you're a matchmaker, we have some matchmakers. If you're a yoga teacher, if you're any kind of local teacher or mentor who wants to build a local following, right, a local business with hundreds or even thousands of people, it's a great way to draw people into sort of the easiest first door into personal transformation work. They come to a games night, they interact with each other. I guarantee they laugh. I guarantee they will cry, because we really go deep, we really have fun, but we really hit profound truths. So it's a curriculum of games nights or games weekends that a coach or other leader can license and build a community, get people kind of like put that one foot into, hey, I want to align my life to my highest vision. I'll try this games night. That sounds easy. That sounds fun. Rather than, sign up for a coach, which most people don't even know how to find. And most coaches, have a hard time getting clients because, it's usually a one-on-one 2-hour discussion. You can only do so many of those. So
let's dive into that for a second, because you started with internet marketing, right? You're big in the internet marketing. You're building the dating and the relationship with internet marketing, and now you're taking something completely different and you're moving away from the web into the face-to-face interaction. Why is that?
Times have changed. Back in the old days, 2005, 2006, we were the Wild West. It was so much fun. We were building this incredible internet world where you could get information, across the world. It was so exciting back then. Now, of course, everyone's inundated with information, and people are really genuinely lonely. That's one of the things that's true. Happened over the last few years. Social media has it's been very harsh on people. Obviously now it's becoming a real big issue, especially with teenagers.
Yeah.
Especially with me. When I'm working hard and I see all my friends in Bali, I don't know why they're always in Bali, but Bali, Costa Rica, and on safari, and I'm sitting here slogging away. It gets to you. And people obviously spend a lot of time in front of screens, like we're all doing right now.
Right.
So, when you really look at personal change, I kind of got tired of just kind of slinging information online, which is helpful, but real change comes through interaction with people. And I think my work with David Data, with the guy named Satya Raja, one of my teachers, really influenced me because I felt it myself. I did a lot of this interactive work. Men's groups, obviously, are really important. Women's groups. Change really happens when you're face-to-face. And with the higher game, the whole point of the higher game events are that you come out of each event with what we call mini quests for every day. So make those changes based on what you've discovered about yourself, because real change only happens day by day, right? With incremental actions.
Yeah, so I love what you're saying about people being lonely and the internet, kind of like separating us. Technology exists today where we can connect people just like we're doing today. You can come in, and everybody, if you want to come in and talk to us face to face in real time, you're going to do that in the next 20 minutes. So hop on in. So technology can do that stuff. And a lot of businesses came in, in the era of internet marketing. And there's a lot of claims of like webinars and funnels and, copywriting and videos and all that jazz. And you were there succeeding very, very well with that. Now you're going like, okay, we need that human connection. We need to actually talk to someone face to face, touch them, feel them, experience them, have fun together before they become our clients. So do you think, the challenges that coaches and consultants are having today are related to kind of like technology being in the middle of those relationships, that we have to take them online? Do you think there's still room for like coaches and consultants to dive into the internet with webs and funnels and all that jazz? Or, we're just coming into a new era that requires something else?
No, I think there's plenty of room to succeed online. If you can get your message across, if you're a great communicator, of course that helps. But for coaching, for people who want to build a kind of local business and really have an impact in their community, no one's really focused on that. So what you have is this global kind of volleyball game of coaches putting out their messages, crisscrossing all around the world, kind of a neural net of everyone slinging their message, and it kind of gets lost in some way. Sometimes it'll catch, of course. But we're trying to do something different. Instead of relying on webinars and competing on that sort of international front, how about getting people into a room and then hot seating people, like getting them to really see how you operate as a coach or a leader or a matchmaker, whatever you do, yoga teacher, personal embodiment teacher, whatever it is, get them into a room with you and actually experience you. And one of our board members, Rich Litvin, is very, very, very big influence on me. He wrote the book, The Prosperous Coach. And he says, and I think he's right, the best way to get clients is for them to experience you in person.
Yeah.
Now, I've always relied on that too in my own business. Even though I've been selling products now for 13 years, I often have live events, and then the people get to experience me in person. I get to experience them, and then we can create ongoing working group together. I have something called the Bold Life Brotherhood. I've had various coaching programs for men and women. But it's one thing to sort of buy off a webinar, but it's another thing to actually sit in a room with them, look at them eye to eye, and work with them. So it's a way to break through all the noise and distraction of the internet.
So I love that you say that, because a lot of people, when we were talking about, what are the challenges of business owners, coaching, consultant, teachers, practitioners, one of the biggest things that they were saying is like, nobody knows me, right? Like, you have to stand out, you have to be very specific, you have to be unique. And it's very hard to stand out in the online world, because it's basically whoever outspends the most gets the most eyes, gets the most visibility.
And who's the prettiest? Let's be honest. Yeah, who's the prettiest? Who wants to do the big song and dance?
Who has a cleavage?
Yeah, I work on it, but I'm covering up today in respect for your show. But also, it's not my character at this point in my life to do this big song and dance on YouTube and all that stuff. It's just not what I want to do.
So you think, moving into the local market, allows you to connect with people face to face, but do you think that it also allows you to kind of like be known in your market as that coach, where people start referring to, started referring you? Because we know that all the conversations are moving from the public to the private now. Do you think that's kind of like a way to kind of like rule the local private conversation?
That's the secret sauce, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're a coach, and a lot of our coaches who are current leaders in different parts of the United States and Canada and Serbia, of all places, that's exactly one of the great benefits of this. Because if you're a coach, right, and you go to your local newspaper, local radio station, local whatever, all right, you're a coach. They're not that interested in you. But we've already found that when you run a transformational games night, right, around intimacy and connection or finding your inner hero, they'll come and cover it. It's interesting, right? It's fun. It's games. So we find it's a great, easy way to become known as a local coach because it's very easily publicized. You can publicize it in all kinds of ways. And we work really hard with our coaches, with our leaders rather, to train them in all the different ways of getting local publicity. And there are a lot. And so that gap, right, is there. You don't have to go buy tons of Facebook ads. You don't have to spend a lot of money online. You can use sort of traditional ways of reaching people and build sort of word of mouth and build a community. And that's something that's really come out of, it wasn't sort of one of our main sort of buzzwords at the beginning, but we see that what's happening is that they can build an actual community of people interested in transformational work, people who really want to change. So it's not just, hey, show up for my events. We're encouraging them to have barbecues, go to movies together, like really create a community because as we said in the beginning of this interview or conversation, people are lonely. They're looking for stuff to do. They're looking for ways to connect. And Tinder doesn't just do it,
Right. So we have Tony Marsala says, I already bought it.
I love Tony.
Right. So do you think, Adam, that this will also apply for non-coaches, like any other business that wants to get in front of a local market?
It's funny you mentioned Tony because he's a great example of someone who's got incredible leadership skills. He's got a real job, like a 9-to-5er at least. And he's like the head of the department for his company, but he's also a natural mentor and leader. So for someone like him, he can build this as a second income, as a just a great thing to give to the world and build community if he chose. It's really designed for people who are really devoted to developing an ongoing and growing business. Because what you do is through use of Facebook groups and other internet as well as real live things, creating a real community. You can grow a community of hundreds of people. So if you throw an event, you can fill your events pretty easily. And when they think of a coach, it's going to be, oh yeah, this is the person. So it's really meant to be a business builder for, like I said, matchmakers. We're getting to yoga teachers, love coaches, life coaches, and we're expanding slowly. Men's groups, we're coming out with a specific men's curriculum, and we'll come out with a women's one as well. So anyone who's really interested in building a business. But yeah, if someone like Tony wanted, and I'm not telling you Tony to do it, but if someone like Tony, who's just a great example of a natural leader, wants to build a community and do transformational work, sure, they could do it just as a sort of second income.
So let's talk a little bit about the problems that coaches and consultants are having. Aside from, the higher game can be a solution for that. But you're reading a lot online, it's easy, like the bar to enter is very low, but the rate of success, right, is very high. It's very difficult to actually succeed as a coach. How do people know that, like, okay, I'm going to take this route and I'm going to make it, right?
It's a great, what, you mean for a coach or for a client?
For a coach, right? So coach, anyone who's building a business right now, go like, well, the easiest way to do is to go at it and start is put up a website, put up a webinar, pay $10 a day in Facebook traffic, start getting clients, right? Test the webinar, see if that works. But the risk is very low, right? And everybody can just go like, hey, I'm a coach. What have you done? No, I'm a coach. I have experience. I healed myself. Right? But when you go into like live face-to-face, it's a lot harder for someone to have some confidence in themselves, like, hey, I'm with these people. I can turn off the screen if something happens.
Right. That's a great question, actually. You're right that the people, we train our people, obviously. Anyone who becomes a leader, there's an online training program and a weekly, it's going to be bi-weekly training, but there's also a live weekend training where they come out here to California. We may do one on the East Coast later this year, where we actually train them in how to lead groups. Yeah, you've got to have confidence. You've got to, and I don't mean swagger, you've got to have confidence that you have in your hands, first of all, how to lead a group, right? So for example, for an evening intro night, maybe the one on intimacy, I think it's 38 pages is our guide, and it is detailed, everything you need to say or do, right down to gestures. I really tell people how to sort of bring people together, and so they can actually literally read a script. We don't want them to, but they have everything's fully scripted. So that's a nice sort of foundation to build on. We encourage everyone who does the curriculum, who leads the curriculum, to bring their own unique take on things, because like some have, are experts in relationships, some are experts in productivity, some are experts in speaking up for yourself. And these are all things that we cover, but we want them to bring their own flavor to it. We want the people who lead to be real leaders, right? To really grow into their leadership, and to have the confidence to stand in front of a group and navigate them, to work them through. There will be people in tears, and we have processes for that. There will be people who have huge breakthroughs about their parents or their lives or their kids, and we have processes for that. So we do our best to support them. But yeah, this is definitely an adventure of real people in real time connecting. So
do you think this is kind of like going to take away some of the fluff? Because right now, one of the challenges of clients and potential clients is like, who's a good coach? Who do I trust? Right. Is it the one that spends the most? Is it the one that's like, looks like $1 million but really doesn't know anything, doesn't care about me? Do you think this kind of way of connecting face to face in real time with people differentiates the actual coach and consultants from the rest of them?
That's the goal. Absolutely. We also have, look, there's a lot of wisdom in these games. We like to lead with the idea that these are games and it's play, but play is a very serious business. We bring a lot of wisdom into what's happening in the room. Again, my partner Mariella brings years of meditation and yoga and embodiment work. I bring years of whatever I bring my work, and we take our leaders pretty deep. There's a required reading list as well. And the subjects that come up are very deep. We talk about play, but play is a serious business. And let me say something about play for a second. Play is a mode of learning. Play is a mode of being that's gotten really crapped on in our over-industrious culture, where hustle is supposed to be what we're about. The whole Protestant work ethic as a pathway to heaven really screws people up in terms of their creativity and natural joy. Great for producing iPhones and Zoom, but for personal creativity, joy, and fulfillment. So I almost did my dissertation at Stanford on play. There's a tradition called Homo ludens. Ludens is the word that's related to the ludic muscle, smiling, right? Playfulness. That we're actually a playful species. We're not Homo sapiens sapiens, the thinking species. Yeah, we're also that. We're also a very playful species, right?
Yeah.
Children learn through play. So when we talk about play, it's not frivolous play. It's skilled play. It's a different mode of approaching your life. When you enter into games like we've designed, and there's a lot of research on this. Jay McGonigal, famous TED Talk, Super Better. There's a whole tradition here happening in the last 10, 15 years of when you play games, you change. Your brain actually functions differently. You engage different parts of your brain. You secrete different hormones. Because what it does is it engages your natural curiosity, which is what kind of got humans here to the, in terms of our development. And when your curiosity flows, your happy hormones flow. And you begin looking for positive outcomes instead of get depressed, right? You become focused in new ways, and you bring new parts of your brain into action. So I just want to be really clear. We talk about transformational games and play. It's not frivolous. It's not light. It's fun. There's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of creativity in these games, but the depth of them are real. And so the leaders have an ongoing process with us every month where we take them deep, and we're just always growing and learning together. So yeah, this is a learning process, not just for the clients, but for the leaders as well.
Let's talk about this a little bit about gamification, because a lot of people think gamification is a magic bullet. You just throw it out there, give badges and points and stuff, and all of a sudden you're going to become, Pokemon Go. But the problem is Pokemon Go had this like big thing, and then, right? Who plays Pokemon Go right now? I don't know.
There's no depth, right?
Right? Yeah. It's amazing to watch, up and down, right? Yeah. Gamification is, it's a system, like you're saying. Like there's actually systems and processes and some underlying layers. You can't just throw like, oh, here's a leaderboard and now everybody's competing, right?
Right.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because the way you're doing games is different than gamification, right?
Yeah.
What people are used to gamification. And when you guys thinking about gamification, you're probably thinking like, I'm going to take an action online, I'm going to get some points, kind of like air miles, right? And we're going to have a leaderboard and we'll see who's the top player, and that's going to be fantastic. So that's not what you're doing. You're doing something different completely. You're teaching through games, right?
Well, yeah, not only that, it's what Jamie McGonigal calls gameful engagement, right? She coined a word called gamefulness. Jamie McGonigal, if people don't know, I'm looking at her book over here. She's a Stanford researcher. She hit her head and lost a lot of her memory and her ability to function. And through games, actually, and she was a gamification expert already, through games was able to reconstruct her brain and abilities. And she's kind of the leading researcher. There's a few centers right now, Duke and also Carnegie Mellon and MIT have great sort of centers of research on how games work. So instead of focusing on gamification, right, badges, competition, that kind of thing, we focus on what we call gameful engagement. And this also comes out of my work with relationships, by the way, because just a side note here, I noticed that people love to say, marriage is work, relationships are work. And I was listening to that and I said, no, you know what? Digging gutters, that's work. I've done that, building houses, that's work. Carrying huge amounts of wood, that's work. It's not work, it's skilled play. And it's a different sort of scrim to look at your life instead of labor and work. Sort of the Jordan Peterson, he's very popular right now, sort of loves that old school Calvinist, life is work, carry the cross up the hill. There's a place for that, but there's a whole other tradition of looking at life as skilled play, right? So when you look at your relationship, just to step back a second, then I'll get gameful engagement. When you look at your relationship as skilled play, right? You begin to focus more on your skills and how to navigate, how to play the game, rather than, I have to listen to her because now I'm married.
Right.
And, I'm in a relationship and I have to. It's like, okay, let's play. And with my partner, we do this thing, like if we hit a moment of tension or I'm busy, something like that, we just say, come on, the game is on. What's the game? Like, let's play. Like, what's happening? And so you start engaging with the moment and see how you can make a success. And
what I love about that, Adam, is that I think this is why video games are very successful. It's because in video games, you can't fail. Like, if you didn't succeed in a challenge, it's not that you suck. It means like, you respawn and now you take it again with a little bit of a knowledge of like, ooh, that wasn't the right way to go. Let me try it this way. Ooh, that wasn't the right way to go. We try it that way, right? And so when you turn something into play, you don't take yourself so seriously. You don't get offended. You can be honest. You can have fun with it. You can grow because like, oh, wow, I just learned something new. But it's not putting like a label of who you are if you fail at some task or some challenge.
Right. 100%. Yes. And if people brought that to their relationships, they'd be much happier.
Yeah.
Because you're going to fail and fall into the trap and, have the stones fall on your head and say the absolutely stupidest thing at the absolutely worst time. You say to your partner, you should relax, which is like the worst thing you can say to anybody, right? I say, okay, don't do that next time, right?
Right.
And there's this great book, great concept also, between what's called finite infinite games. It's a big book by James Carse, where a finite game, which is how people mostly look at relationships and life, is, the rules exist to create a winner and a loser. Whereas in infinite games, right, the rules exist to support the perpetuation of the play, right? So if you love and relationship are infinite games, right? Parenting is an infinite game. You adjust within the rules to support the game, not to try to win. And the problem is, people get ego identified, like you said, and they go, I have to win this. I have to win this battle. I have to win this battle. And anyone who's been in a relationship knows that when you win that battle and your partner starts crying or marches out of the house, you lost the war, right?
Right. So we have some comments from for people watching us. Erin Hickok says, transformation and learning can be so much fun. Infinite games, everyone who wins. The Michael Newman is asking, Adam, do you have a book to read about this?
About which?
I think about games. So think about games.
Everyone should go to thehighergame.com. That's our site, for sure. If you're interested in games in general and gameful engagement, which I still want to talk about, Jamie McGonigal is sort of the best person around these days. She has a book called Super Better and How Games Can Save the World. I forget what it's called. It's on my shelf here. But she talks about how, life is not organized in such a way to optimize human potential. Games are.
Yeah.
You know, your games are there to maximize your flexibility, your resilience, your challenge mindset, you know, all the ways that we actually accomplish things in the world, taking an action, experimenting, exploring, cultivating connections, finding allies, like staying focused on the goal. These are all the aspects of what she calls gameful engagement. And especially, here's a really big one, seeking good outcomes. Like you were saying, when you play a video game and you fail at something, okay, great, I'm still seeking the good outcome. There's always that intention of Zelda, you know, I'm going to find that thing, right? I'm going to get to that place.
Yeah.
Now, if you looked at their lives that way, their relationships, their own happiness, right?
Yeah.
Like we try to, that's what we do in the higher game, is get people to look at their lives through a sense of gameful engagement. Where do I want to go in my life? And each of our evenings is kind of a little mini hero's journey, and I can talk about that. Each of our evenings, each of our circles are literally designed to get people to focus on what's the life I want to live? Who's the person I want to be in this aspect? Whether we're talking about relationships, empowerment, speaking your truth, grounding yourself in your body, relating to your creativity, sexuality, to your vision. You know, we have lots of subjects. We go through the whole sort of human self, but each circle is focused on what's my highest goal in this area of my life? And then the games explore your life and explore the challenges that you have around them and explore solutions and options. And then you come out of each circle with what we call mini quests, which you design based on what you've learned. What are little actions you can put into play every single day to help get you there? So that's exactly what we're doing. We're taking that whole idea of a high sort of a high goal game, and make your life that, and play instead of work and trudge and complain. Why not?
So what I love about this is that it's almost even like transforming the entire therapy industry, because instead of like just sitting here and talking about what was, I can just come here, play a game, evolve through the game, take risk because it doesn't label me as anything, you know, different, and grow through the relationships in a community and through a process. You just said it's a few meetings, one after the other, right? That kind of like improves each part of your life. So it sounds like a fantastic way for like self-development, not just business development.
I think so. We call it, I mean, yeah, we call it an elation-based business, because you're really elated. Like, it's really liberating to look at your life and see options suddenly. Because the other thing about games, which we haven't mentioned, with gameful engagement, if you play a video game, you take on an avatar, right?
Right.
Like whatever, Dungeons and Dragons, all that kind of stuff. But even in our games, sometimes we actually literally do that. But even when you play a game, you're out of your usual ego identity, because then you're playing a game. Now you're looking for something different. And so, like I said, your brain changes, and you can access creativity in ways that you can't otherwise.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So guys, we are at the moment where we're going to dive into user engagement. If you guys are seeing us right now and you're watching us on any of the social platforms, hop on in to am.geek.com/live. Let's take a little intermediate and then jump into real-time engagement. Let's see. So guys, we're going to dive into live engagement with people who are here and people who are watching us on the page. If you don't want to have your camera on, you can hop on in, turn your camera off, and still communicate with us voice only. So the first person that we are going to let in is Ronnie. Ronnie, let's see. I'm going to unmute you and dive on in.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
And you are not Adam. Go ahead.
Not Adam. What's going on? I feel a shift in my life coming. I was a restaurant owner in the area I'm from, and it's funny listening to Adam talk. I'm actually trying to write a screenplay right now, and I'm learning how to do that. But I feel a calling towards something different. And I believe it plays a lot into that. What would you say if somebody was financially strapped, like let's say in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, but wanted to shift the way they're doing things in life? Would you take that money away and use it towards something like that, or would you try to find another way to go about it?
I'm not sure exactly what your question is.
Like, I'm being called towards coaching right now.
Oh, I see. Okay. I don't know you well enough. I can't answer it. I don't know what your situation is, but if you're called toward it, that's fantastic. It sounds like you're called to a few things. You said a screenplay as well. So you might be a great example of somebody who has a lot of creative power, a lot of wisdom and mentorship. And you said you're a restaurant owner, so you were on a track for a long time, and now you're at what I also like to call a midlife opportunity or midlife awakening. And I'm hoping our whole species will have a midlife awakening, by the way, because we're so focused on production and poisoning the world, and we're not paying attention to nurturance. So you're at the phase now where it looks like you're looking at how to nurture your life. So, I don't know exactly your situation or where you live or what's available.
It would be a long story, and I'd be wasting your time.
Exactly, right. So it's hard for me to answer that. That's a coaching question. So I can't really answer for you individually, but certainly if you're called to coaching, there's a lot of opportunity there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. So here we are. I keep trying to mute and unmute. So, and Aaron has joined us. So the other question that came up is from Stuart, and he says, it's interesting that we have to read some definitions on words. Clients to me means someone who has signed a contract and offered up a retainer, etc., or has actually made a purchase of service or product. So I'm curious to see how Adam defines clients, given that he's creating a relationship in just 3 hours. It's I'm sure it's fascinating.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we call the people who come to the circles, we call them players, so to speak. Players, because they're playing the games. If they decide to become coaching clients, then exactly like I think it was Stuart suggested, the whole point is they get to actually experience the coach, right? They get to experience the mentor, the teacher, the trainer, whoever's leading. And then, as we all know, we hire people when we come to know, like, and trust them. So if they come to a game night, they're not a client. They're a player, right? They're part of the community. They come for a night. But they know, like, and trust, hopefully, the leader. And if they want their services, then they can become a client in the traditional way. Absolutely.
Awesome. So this is, Stuart, a way for you to kind of connect with your potential clients. And we say potential because we don't know yet. Now there's online, there's impressions, there are views, there are so many different ways to kind of define who's watching you, right? Like some people are just watching you and they're not participating, so they're not even potential clients yet. But here, if you bring people into a room or you engage in conversation with them, now they can move from potential clients into clients right away.
Exactly. One of the ways you describe this is it's a great warm, and it's a very cold way of saying it, but it's a great warm lead generator for coaches, matchmakers, teachers, trainers, mentors. It generates warm leads. Yeah, it gets people in the room.
So before we dive into how we do that, how do we get people in the room? Because I'm sure everybody's like, wow, this sounds fantastic, but where do I find people? Let's dive into Aaron. Aaron, let me unmute you for a second. Hi.
Hey, Aaron.
Hello. I've been really enjoying this conversation.
Nice to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Oh, look, and I have two of me on the screen. Yeah, I've been really enjoying the conversation. I also make a card game or a game that helps educate people and helps people create deeper connections and more personal growth and transformation in their lives.
Great.
So I've really been loving this show so much today.
Great.
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious to hear more about the money side for me of business structure, because I've done really well with fundraising, and I do have a nice kind of sustainable income from the cards, but I'm really wanting to up my revenue and also spread the games a lot further. So that's probably my biggest goal right now.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, the way we have it set up is, generally the way we have it set up is for the leaders, if they license the material and join our leadership program. Generally, an intro night. We have 2 intro nights. One is around finding your inner power, inner hero, and the other is around intimacy and connection, which are 2 things that people really like. That's why they're intro nights, right? And so generally the leaders can charge $20, $25, depending on where they are. Some charge 10, some charge 15. The ones who have real coaching businesses charge less because they just want to get people in the door, right? And the one who want to make a sustainable income from the nights, they can charge 20, 25. That's generally the rate that it's been going at. And if you get 10, 20 people, you do it twice a month, that's not a bad side income. The actual curriculum that it leads into is we recommend that it's $100 a month. So say you have 20 people in a group and you do it, literally every other Tuesday. The way we have it set up, it's every other week is probably the easiest way to do it. So if you have, say, 100 people and 20 people and they're paying $100 a month, it's $2,000 a month for one night a month. 2 nights a month teaching is $2,000. Not so bad, right? And as you build, if you want to do 2 nights, you could double that. You can have maybe up to 30 people, but we like to seat around 20. So you can scale it any way you want. There's no limitation. What we do is license the material to you and the training and all that, and we stay in touch with you. We help you build your groups. We've done a lot of work on all the various ways of marketing, both traditional, real life, and online, locally, to get people in the door. So once you start that momentum going, and then people become your evangelists, they bring other people. So you can build as many groups as you want. That's all yours. We provide the foundation and structure, and then you pick it. Now, once you build your groups, by the way, you could lead your card game. I want to hear about that afterwards. If you want to tell me about it, I'd love to hear more. But you could do a night and have people play these card games. I mean, there's no limit. We provide a structure, and then from that structure, we urge people to bring their unique gifts. So, for example, if you're a yoga teacher or martial arts instructor, you could do a games night. You can have a warm up and do yoga. I mean, whatever works for you is great. And wherever you want to take it in your own business is great. It's kind of a platform to bring people into your world, get them to open up, and then you can take them anywhere you want.
Yeah.
That help?
Yeah, it works, Aaron. Any other questions?
Definitely contact us. Contact me. It's I don't know if you gave the link yet. Did you give
So
the link?
so right to the right of this video, right there on the page where you're watching us right now, am.geek.com, there's a beautiful sign that says, it says, play your way into greatness. And that will take you into Adam's website where you can just opt in, get more information, and find out more of how you can become part of the game.
Yeah, this is more information than a conversation. So all of our leaders, obviously, we have to vet. We like to know them personally, make sure that they're emotionally healthy.
Thank you.
I wonder why that's important, huh?
Eric? But we want the best. So it just leads to a conversation. So definitely go and sign in, and we'll have a talk.
So we have a comment from King who says, Shakespeare was clearly a games guy too. He said the world is a stage and everyone must play their part, right? I wanted to mention that Adam shot a phenomenally simple and very impressive video a few years ago when he stood alone on a beach, talked about being proud of who you are. It was powerful and it has stayed with me. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Right, isn't that amazing? And Jack Austin says nurturance.
Yes. Big word for me these days.
Yes. So let's talk about this for a second. How do you bring people into your game nights, right? Like, let's say, okay, I became a leader, I passed the test, I'm healthy emotionally, I can actually be a part of the leadership circle. Now what?
Yeah. So in our 150-page instruction manual that people start with, it takes about a month or 2 months to get started, to get through all the material. There's a lot of material. But there's several ways, obviously, and it's all in, we utilize things like Meetup, which is really important, and we have really cool strategies of leveraging Meetup groups. Other groups, existing groups, by the way. We have my brilliant partner, Mariella, is not only a great teacher, but she's also an amazing designer. So the leaders get templates. So there are posters, there are posts for local Facebook groups. We give you a Facebook group and teach you how to build that. There are banners you can put on tables for expos. There are just all your printed materials we provide as much as we can. We just keep pumping it out. So we provide a lot of the visuals. We also have templates for letters to existing organizations. We found that one of the quickest ways of getting started is to leverage existing organizations. Hey, can I come in and lead a transformational games night around empowerment or around relationships and connection? People are like, yeah. And you come into another meetup group. You can come into a church group, a civic group. It's a great way to get started. We also have ways of leveraging local calendars, newspapers, newsletters, poster boards, everything, full court press to get people in. And once people are in, we have kind of a coupon system that uses people who come and get elated and have a great experience to bring other people next time. So there's a lot of methods. One of the things that's really exciting to us right now is WeWork just bought Meetup. So Meetup is a tremendous resource that's kind of been wasted. It's been very sleepy the last 5-6 years.
It's true. It has been. Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a real explosion of what we were talking about before. People are lonely. People want to connect. People are behind their screens all the time. Hey, it's so easy to watch Netflix. Not so much Netflix. It's kind of mediocre. But, Showtime, Hulu, Amazon, right? There's a lot of good choices there. And there's always something interesting. It's very easy to stay home and watch, but it's lonely. So I think with Meetup it's going to be resurgent, and I think people are really going to start getting out more and looking for interesting things to do. I mean, haven't you done it? Haven't you said, what do I want to do tonight? You kind of go and look to, I don't know what you have in Austin. But,
I'm like the worst person to talk about this because I do Krav Maga, so my evenings are filled with I'm like, I finish work, I go Krav Maga, I come back home, I go to dinner. It's like,
You go beat up people every night. Okay,
I do.
That's a great thing to do. Well, this is people also look. But often I've looked at what's a fun thing, what's interesting.
Yeah.
And I'll go to stuff that I've never heard of. But if I see transformational games nights, connection, I'm interested in that. So there's a lot of ways of getting people in.
True. Let's let. Okay, so I don't know how to pronounce your name. IDSP.
It's that.
IDSP. So we unmuted you. Let's see if you're if you can see us.
That's like a robot.
Yes.
7 IDSP. Are you there?
Let's see. There we go. Yeah. Hold on. So I'm going to unmute you. There we go. I'm going to unmute you and let's see if you want to jump in. I didn't see that was right. Yeah, sure. Okay. So, yes, no, not working. Yes, working. Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
Hi, Yvonne.
How are you?
Really good. I signed in under a different login. This is Jack Austin.
Oh, hey.
So, oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I know. If you're not pinned, that's what happened. Go for it.
Sounds like
Woo, the infinite role. So, so Adam, good to hear what you're talking about. I've actually participated in a intensive with Rich Litvin.
Right.
And, read the book, actually turned several coaches onto the book because of the impacts that it has and the different model of approach. I'm fascinated with what you're talking about, especially in local groups. I made a big life transformation in '97, had a lot of experiences that came after that, and have been, for the most part, a bit of a struggling coach, for a decade. And, a lot of that was, personal resistances and stuff like that. I've had several breakthroughs this year, thank goodness. And so I'm really looking at getting the engagement. I'm out in the Valley. There's tons of people up here, it's not like we lack for audience.
Right.
Making connection.
Right. But as a coach, struggling. The problem is, right? How have you got clients, right? It's like one at a time. Find them.
In men's organizations, typically, is really what it comes down to, right? I mean, people get to know me. They see who I actually am. They're curious. I have a coaching call with them, and they're like, "Holy, let's go!"
Right. That's what we're doing.
Right. But I haven't been active enough, in things like Mankind Project and so forth to have that be productive.
Right.
And as I have a background in philosophy and was a searcher all my life and trauma and all this good stuff, a lot of pathway.
Yeah.
that people seem to find useful as they make life decisions.
Okay.
Right? So what you're talking about, holding live local events, I mean, I've seen that to work. And the model that you're describing really sounds extraordinarily well thought out and extremely well modeled by demonstration and practice.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I'm talking a lot, but so what I'm curious about is how to really develop that. I even know, for example, there's an organization in the UK that actually teaches their coaching graduates that open a public forum and hold live events, and it works, right?
That's what we should be doing, right? Exactly. They're on the right track.
Well, so I personally benefited from the opportunity to see an organization change from a hierarchical management function to a more flat model, and the growth that happened in the company for the people participating and all that good stuff. So that's kind of the sort of conscious business thing is where I would think about it, but I've also practiced in relationship coaching.
Let me jump in for a second. You said something interesting. I just want to point out something.
Sure.
One of the things I'm really proud of, that we're proud of, that we like and we think is effective, is that there's no ideology here. The whole about sort of I think a lot of people have a lot of wisdom. I mean, I can see Jay. There's a lot of people, Shane. There's a lot of people here I know with a lot of wisdom. The games and the evenings, the weekends are designed not to teach anything so much as present the game platform as a way for people to discover their own truths and pick their own destiny, pick their own quests, pick their own practices, pick their own based on what they learn. So it is kind of a democratization of enlightenment, so to speak, where we're not asking leaders to come. They're facilitators, they're leaders, they're not teachers, they're not professors, they're not gurus. They're walking in the room and saying, hey, everybody, let's play and let's see what comes up. And then we have ways of guiding people deeper, right? As a coach, you want to lead people deeper and hot seat people during the night. But definitely the beautiful thing here is that people are coming up with their own pathways. So you mentioned about hierarchical versus flat. So what's your question?
Well, I'm feeling a connection with you around finding out more and so I'll pursue the website and so forth. I guess you answered part of it because I got a reflection of an old tendency of mine to try to prove my worth, right?
Everybody.
I don't have any of those books you have behind you, right?
That's the whole issue, right?
Right, exactly. And yet what I found that has worked with my clients is opening in a space for them to discover in a quiet-minded frame so they get fresh thought.
Good coaching, right?
And,
is there,
one of them ended up having a public company instead of an agency.
Yeah. Just for everybody's sake, is there a question that you want to ask?
As such, specifically,
Yep.
No, I think you've laid out the mechanics well and love McGonagall's work as well, so thank you.
I'd love to connect with you. Just click on that link wherever it was. I don't know where she's
Okay, sure.
Let's have a conversation. You're here in the Valley in LA?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. What part?
Sherman Oaks.
Oh, great. Okay. Lots of people.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure.
What's cool about this is you are connecting in real time. The page is right there. So right to the right of the video, there is a beautiful link that says play yourself to higher something, Adam.
Play yourself into greatness.
To higher greatness.
Use that. By the way, we love that. I mean, the whole idea is don't work look, do your work. Work yourself into greatness, but you can also play yourself into greatness. There's a lot of discovery who you really are.
Which I love, right? I love the fact that we're removing all the labels, we're removing the ego, we're removing who we think we need to be, and all the ideas of I should be going this way, I should be saying the right thing, this is not the right thing, right? And actually playing and learning through play what works. So I love that part.
Look at that kind of life. I don't know about you guys, but I spent most of my life doing that. And it just burned out, right?
Yeah, so we have a few more minutes. Let's have Shay jump in. Let me unmute you. Done.
All right, pardon for the public noise. I'm in Starbucks, and I'm definitely not Adam Gilad. I actually do have a good question to ask that some people here might be wondering is, if you are a digital nomad or if you do a lot of traveling for your job, is the hybrid game something that possibly could be done for people that go to conferences, all over the nation, like a different city, each week, or even go to different countries, or is it something that has to be done that you need to stay in the city for like a few months to let it grow and prosper? So how will this work for digital nomads?
Yeah, that's a good question. This is particularly designed for building a local following. So yeah, this is not for digital nomads. I have other stuff for people who travel. I love being a digital nomad, but I'm staying put for a while. Yeah, this is for people who want to build local community. Yeah.
Okay. Oops. There we go. So last person, Jay. Let's unmute you.
Jay in Florida. Hey, Jay.
Hey, Adam. How are you, man?
Good. Another genius. Got a
Other
lot-
than relative, I defer to you 1,000 times over. But thank you. So I have a major question and a minor question. The minor question first, following what Shane said. The reverse of his question, I'm somebody who finds traveling to be challenging, so I'm curious how important it is to travel in order to engage with your program versus one could do the whole thing without leaving their hometown.
Oh yeah, the idea is that you do it at home. The only thing that we require is come to a training weekend where you actually practice doing the games with volunteers, and we watch you and we try to train you and help you through all the stuff that might come up. It's really useful. So that's the only thing. We'll have ongoing trainings. You can always come back for training. We're looking forward as we grow. We've got about 20 some odd teachers now, actually all on. Now we've got about 20 teachers roughly already, leaders. And as we grow, we look forward to having retreats and having more fun. But you could certainly run the business from home. That's what it's designed for.
But at least a little bit of traveling to California is required.
Just coming out to the one training to get started.
So my more major question, thank you for that. My more major question is, how would it work for somebody who really has stuff of their own to teach to blend and incorporate that and possibly even target a demographic?
Fantastic. Actually, it's built for that. We give you, like I said, we give you the platform. We build in hot seat opportunities. There's a lot of sharing when people do the games, and they write down their ahas. What did they discover? There's often a group share right at the end of that where people share their ideas. That's an opportunity for you to lead them and add whatever wisdom you bring into play. So absolutely, it's meant as a platform, but we understand that a lot of our leaders have their own takes. Like some people are, we have one matchmaker, right? So hers is really built around relationship. If someone was more around something holistic, or bring another philosophy into play, you're welcome to do that. The games are a platform, but your unique voice is supported. As long as it's not, obviously I know you, so as long as it's not like hateful. In any way, awful, judgmental, separative, those kind of things. But yeah, we expect people to bring their unique voice into it, and lead them into their own coaching.
Great, thank you.
Sure, my pleasure.
So we have Juan Valencia, my long-term friends from Google Plus, joining us. Hey Juan, he's in Europe, so awesome seeing you. Hop on in. So the last question before we're done, I think a lot of people kind of like now get the idea of, how this can help coaches, how they can help any business who wants to grow locally, develop their audience, their income, their reputation through something that's nobody is doing out there. Most people bringing people in and they do lectures and PowerPoints and presentation. This is the only one where you actually bring them into a game where they feel more comfortable, they open up, they see different changes in their behavior. They're building a community, and you can build a practicing business from that. So the last question really is, what does it take to start, Adam?
A phone call.
A phone call.
So there's a link. Read more. I want you to read more in depth. We do a webinar regularly, but the page that you'll read, we go more into depth about what's involved. And if it's something that you're interested in, basically it's a phone call with me and discuss what your goals are and make sure that we're aligned, and then we'll figure it out.
So guys, if you are tired of internet marketing and all the jazz and all the headaches and all the ads and all the pixels and all that jazz, and you actually want to connect with your clients face to face in real time, in your own community, this might be something that you'll fall in love with. And if you do, right there, have a conversation with Adam. Adam, last thing, what's next for you? What's next?
This is next.
This is next.
This is a really big thing for us. In many ways, the Hire Game brings together sort of a lifetime of learning and inclination toward creativity and fun, and at the same time, an inclination toward creating deeper wisdom, deeper connection, all the good things in life. This is next. This is what we'll be doing for the next few years, building this out. We have huge ambitions. We're looking for 1,000 groups around the world, 1,000 communities. And I should even mention, one of the best things that the people who become the leaders, there's a beautiful community of leaders happening. So people bringing their different skills. So that's fun too. But the Hire Game is next for us, absolutely. I'll just plug, we're also writing a novel, which is really fun. Getting back to my natural love, my partner and I. So watch out for that one.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you everybody who joined us. Fantastic questions. If you want to follow up Adam, all the links are right there next to his beautiful picture on am.geek.com/live. And we're looking forward. It's funny that we're talking about communities. Our next guest is going to talk about exactly that. How do you build a community where clients don't want to live, not locally, but online? So if you're interested in communities, hop on in next week. RSVP, would love to see you. Adam, you are fantastic. I love your game. I love your wonders. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's nice seeing everybody. Hey, Tony. I see you. Good night, everyone.